Today, we are thrilled to welcome Bill the Lawman Umansky to the show. With over 30 years of experience, Bill is a seasoned attorney known for his dedication to offering second chances to clients who have been injured or charged with a crime. Inspired by his own challenging upbringing, Bill turned his experiences of powerlessness into a powerful drive to help others, becoming a passionate advocate for justice. Beyond his legal practice, Bill is a recognized speaker, author, and community leader who truly lives by his motto, "Everyone deserves a second chance." Stay tuned to hear Bill's inspiring story. Hey, lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Mbiz, where we're putting the Miss in biz.
Let's get biz done. Today, we are honored to have with us special guest, none other than the lawman himself, Bill Umansky. Welcome to Mbiz.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on, actually.
You're one of the few men that make the cut to come on Mbiz. So tell us about yourself and your business.
Well, I painted my nails so that I actually would come on. I have like Eye of the Tiger on my nails now, so I can show those to you after. But I was trying to do everything I could to come on an all-female podcast, so I really appreciate it. But you want to know about my business, is that it?
Yeah, please.
So like you, I've been practicing law just maybe a little bit longer for about 30 years and started as a state attorney. I was also worked for a senator, did some politics stuff, became a prosecutor, division chief, found that wasn't my real calling, so came over to Orlando because my wife dragged me over here. Actually, I'll just be honest, and she'll probably kill me for this, but it was either come to Orlando and or lose her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think that's how it went. But right after that, we got married. And we got married before we left, too. So then I started working for at personal injury firms and decided that I was not really a good fit for most people. I worked for the first female double board certified lawyer named Elizabeth Fiella in Winter Park. She was an amazing lawyer, and we butted heads, probably because of me, and also because she was a board certified trial lawyer. Do you know those people?
Not really.
No. Yeah. So I decided to open my own firm. I opened it with a partner of mine back in 1990, 99. And then I've been on my own probably for the last 24 years. So.
Wow. So 24 years you have built your own law firm.
Yep, and it's personal injury and criminal defense. So I started off doing what I needed to do, and then ultimately, basically, I learned about business the hard way because I had grown so much when I was a criminal lawyer, started my practice, and I was just psycho. So ultimately, at the end of the day, am I supposed to be looking right there? Because I have a podcast. I'm trying to think. I want to look at you guys and have a conversation because I am with women, and I like to pay attention. But
Any way you want to look.
Okay.
We kind of
perfect.
Look towards the screen, then we look at each other. It's kind of mix it up.
Yeah, I need to learn that for my own podcast. I just do whatever I want. But anyway, so I started my practice, did really, really well. I had a lot of great results. Thought I was really good in business, but I wasn't. And then I hired my wife, was the first attorney that I hired, and that's when I really started learning about business, and not from her, But, I think, Brooke, in business, you delegate things, and you certainly can't comment to your wife on how she practices law or how she handles clients or how she does anything else. And that's how I learned to delegate. And from there, I started hiring people left and right and learning to trust them to do their own jobs. Does that make sense?
Yes. So how many employees do you have now?
I think, that's interesting because I feel like we're up to 30, 35, but that includes virtual assistants who are technically not employees.
Okay.
So we're about 35 people now.
What kind of car do you drive?
Man, this is an all-female podcast. I'm sorry. I've been labeled as sexist now, but that's an interesting question. So I feel like I drive a BMW, and I sold my Vipers, and I have a Corvette now, and I'm looking at an Aston Martin.
Okay.
And that's the car I'm getting next.
And what shoes are you wearing today?
I'm wearing the label. Oh my God, this is horrible. I'm wearing Ferragamos that are stained. And they were nice yesterday until my wife put them. She gave me my shoes this morning, and she dressed me this morning. And I went out and I walked in grass already, and I ruined them.
Well, she did a good job. And I asked you this question just so our listeners can get an idea of the level of success that you have achieved. So this is someone who knows what he's talking about. He's been around the block, and he is incredibly successful.
And sharp as a tack, mind you.
And witty.
Yes. Now, I want to go back to the delegation aspect that you brought off, because I think that is an area where a lot of new business owners struggle with, is kind of giving up some of that control and trusting other people to do just as good of a job or to your expectation of getting the job done. So what advice would you give to a business owner who is just at that beginning stage where they were starting to delegate?
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. Either you scale or you can't scale. And so if you are really, really proud of your work product, maybe there's different businesses are different, products are different, but in the service business, you're either going to be great at what you do, and you're going to acknowledge that in the beginning, you're going to hire people that may or may not be at your level. You're going to try to get them at your level, but you're not going to think that they're at your level, because as soon as they make a mistake, you're going to want to draw them back in. But the most simple advice, I think, is it's either you delegate or you don't grow. Like, you can't grow without delegating. So there's a process that has to come along with that, and it's a mindset process that comes along with it, either with coaching or self-teaching yourself. So, the easiest example would be, for an experience I had, is I was a lawyer that I tried over 100 cases at the state attorney's office. I never lost a case. Wow. Really, it wasn't. It was the worst nightmare, because I started choosing the cases that I could win and started focusing on what I could win and not lose. And so my wife, for example, I've hired a lot of other lawyers after her, but a lot of them came from the public defender's office, and some of them make better lawyers and prosecutors, but they also can lose. Sometimes the facts are against you. And I realized I lost my last trial before I opened my own firm, and I remember this clearly. And this is all about delegation, because I lost it to a lawyer. I know this is horrible to say, but she was blind in one eye. She wasn't a very good lawyer, and I thought I would just easily win the case, and I lost. And so I realized after that story, when I lost, started humbling me. And that was really, really important, because as I hired people, especially lawyers, some in the beginning may not have had the natural skills in front of a jury as I had. They may have been better at other things. Some of them really may not want to work 60, 80 hours a week like I did. They were working for me, living my dream. And some of them made outright mistakes, an error in emotion. Back then, I was such a perfectionist. Now everyone laughs at me like, "You're so sloppy, Bill." From my eyebrows, actually. I'm looking at your perfect eyebrows. My eyebrows aren't even shaved, but that goes back to when I started. They would make mistakes, and I would get angry. I would get mad. It's my reputation on the line, not your reputation. I'd say horrible things to them. And I realized, you're just never going to be able to grow. And you just stay, it's almost like I have a friend who's a great trial lawyer, but I always make fun of him, like, your pants, you feel like he's a good-looking guy, he dresses well, I'm going to learn how to dress from him, and he's an amazing lawyer, but he's like this still. Now he's kind of more relaxed, But after 25 years of doing this work and slowly being able to relax, you get your, an award, right? And you can't grow that way, and you can't trust people. So it's really all about mindset.
That's very good advice for people, that you sometimes just have to relax and understand that there may be some errors that are made because you're not doing everything yourself anymore, but there's no other option if you want to grow.
Yeah, I actually think every time that comes up, I would used to say to myself, do you want to grow? So for all your business owners out there, individuals, it doesn't matter, and it's hard, male or female, when you're starting to run this stuff and you're starting to put this stuff on your shoulder and you're saying to yourself, I want to grow, I want to make more money, I want to hire people. Okay, great. As soon as that first mistake is made, say to yourself when you're about to dial it back in and take, I'm the only one that can do it. No one else can do it. That's, then ask yourself the next question before you continue down the path of either reacting with your people is, do you want to grow? Mm-hmm. Right? Brooke, do you want to grow?
Yes.
Right. So when someone makes a mistake, you get mad, but before you react, it's Brooke, you don't want to go. That doesn't mean you don't let them go. Doesn't mean they don't live up to your standards, but you cannot scale a business at all if you just are afraid to delegate. So, and you've got to be willing to know that mistakes are going to happen, and sometimes some really bad mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, when we were younger, and it can happen now, we're a big firm now, but imagine not following a notice of appearance, and so that is a warrant out for your client's arrest. Stuff can happen. So it was just funny the other day, because I shouldn't say this on air, but we are friends with a lot of judges. Thank you. And we did everything right, but we had a cover lawyer, who I won't mention his name, was supposed to cover for us, and he did, but maybe he got misinformation and he missed the court date.
Oh, no.
In the past, we would be like freaking out, everything. Yeah. Now, after 25 years of business, I didn't even get to hear about it. My managing attorney had someone call the judge, so we'll be there at 2:00, no big deal, no warrants issued, nothing. Even in our business, and we make very few mistakes about stuff like that. We have systems in place. This was outside of our control because another attorney took the coverage, but I even remember those, like you just got to take a deep breath, and that's the worst thing that can happen in our business, is not covering a court date.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that just goes to show you the impact that developing the right types of relationships can have on your business.
Yeah,
yes.
True. That's 100% right.
And having a good reputation in the community, the business community or the legal community as well, goes a long way.
Or just the community in general. So fun fact, you don't know this, but for a couple weeks now, I've been telling all of my friends and people that I know that you're going to be on the show this week. I would say about 98% of those people either considered themselves very good friends with you, knew you, or had worked with you in some sort of capacity. So it just goes to show you the amount of influence that you've had in our community. And I know a lot of people, but
that's awesome.
You know most all the people that I know because they all knew. Yes.
Sure.
Oh,
that's
yes.
Awesome. Yeah. That's cool.
So the legal field is obviously very competitive, and you're also located in Orlando, Florida, which probably has more lawyers per square mile than just about anywhere in the country. So we can't drive 5 miles without hitting 10 law firm billboards. Mm-hmm. So you obviously had to differentiate yourself to get noticed in such a competitive field. So how did you go about doing that?
Well, I feel like it's still an evolution of a process, because I can talk to you about hiring a business development person and learning how to ask. Because imagine having all that influence and then having pride enough not to ask for business. So I'd actually be larger now if I had put down my pride a long time ago. But to answer your question about overcoming it, I think it's, everyone has their own client journey. We're still trying to experiment how to make our clients happier and evolve the process, but everyone says that. I think what makes each person different is how quick you can get to your central zone of who you are. So if you really can connect with who you are as a person and you understand and you feel comfortable with yourself, I think that speaks for itself. And I'll give you an example. Like today, there's a guy named Joel Leopard who is a competitor. Now he texted me and he says, "I'm not your competitor. All boats rise." And I'm like, I won't say what I said because we're on this air thing, but I usually like to curse a lot in a nice way because I like it. But like I said, MF, whatever, of course we're competitors, but I put a post about him and he competes with me day to day for personal injury and DUI cases. And I put his story up and said, great lawyer, outstanding guy. Like he's in my block. He's the person I'm competing with. And I got texts from like 10 other guys who I'm closer with, who I take guy trips with. You don't go on guy trips. Why don't you promote my business like that? I go, well, maybe I will, or maybe I won't. But like the thing is like, I feel like I don't believe all boats rise. I do believe competitors push one another to be better. And I think the standout thing about me that would make my firm different, other than culture, I think is I'm closest to the line about myself and being comfortable with who I am, including everything that's bad about me. So it's just kind of like, and I think that shows itself when I'm out in public. Like when you came in, right? You came into my Rotary Club doing your presentation on personal injury. And like, I think when I was 28, 29, not 58, I'd look at you and be like, what the F is she doing in my, and who had her come in? And then, okay, now I'm gonna really like screw her. I'm gonna ask some really tough questions just to try to challenge you. And the exact opposite, right? I saw you doing your thing. I appreciate you doing thing. I said, damn, like I don't even do that in my own club. And a lot of those were my clients. And I need to start coming to meetings first. I need to get a presentation second. And what is she doing here? This is really funny. So then I gave you a softball question. And then I felt bad for you because my Republican friends in the room, who are all hardcore, which you're from Oviedo, so you know, were like trying to like mess with you, but they weren't trying to mess with you because of me. They were just, that's who they were. Yeah. And I feel like that's the difference. So there's a factor, like I think that when you're younger, I feel like I somehow was a cool kid when I was younger. Then I lost it for a while and a long time. And then I got it back. And it's that factor that separates. It's like if you're not a hater, you don't have an agenda, and when you walk into a room, people like you and they all know you and you feel your vibe and you're an energy person, that's the separator. I wish it was marketing, it's not. Because I got the Lawman and I never had the guts. I'm gonna kind of clean this up because I want to say, something else, but like it's a female podcast. But it is true, I mean, we are different than women. So the guts to do the Lawman, put a cowboy hat, make fun of myself, and I got all that. 228-3838 was my original number for 38 special, and I just didn't play with any of that stuff. And honestly, I think I don't regret it, but I think I didn't have the confidence to do it then. I think looking back, I wouldn't do it now because it's just not me anymore. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I became comfortable with who I was, not a hater, loving people, that's the separator.
Do you love the Mbiz podcast?
Because we love you.
Here's 3 things you can do to show your support.
1, write us a review. Apple or Spotify are the best platforms for reviews.
2, join us for our free Friday Zoom calls at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. To RSVP, go to MissBiz.com homepage. Scroll down to Mbiz Connects and click the link.
3, follow us on social media. Our handle is @Mbiz Podcast.
As always, thank you for your support.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And because you brought it up, that's how we met, was at a Rotary Club meeting where I was a guest speaker, having no idea that was your club or that you were there. And he was like sitting kind of in the back. So I couldn't see him and we had never met before, but he started raising his hand and asking questions. And I immediately knew this guy knows what he's talking about. And only afterwards did I find out who he was. But actually, to your credit, you came up to me afterwards and we started talking, and then we've become friends now. Mm-hmm. And that speaks to your character because we are technically competitors too in the personal injury space. But yet I know you have been really helpful in making introductions for me and just helping me along the way because you've had your business longer than me.
I think the secret is that if you really help people without an agenda, it's just natural for them to give back. And you don't need to give with an expectation of anything. You just keep giving. There are people that don't give back, and that's okay too. You just kind of move that. I think there's almost a transition. You used to give to get, and then you like give. When you don't get, you move on, and then you don't even forget. You just forget about who's giving. You just keep giving, and it really works out better in the universe that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely. It always comes back 3 times.
Yep. I got to count that 3 times. So
Give or take.
Yeah.
Give or take. So I do have a question for you because you brought up the Lawman. Can you tell us what that nickname means or the story behind it?
It's really simple. It just started with the way when you started the show and then you restarted the show because you
Telling our secrets.
you mispronounced my name. Well, you asked. You asked. You know, so when the word Umansky becomes Uman, whatever, and I remember like in college and in law school, some people had a nickname for me, You the Man, and I was like, I hate my name. I really couldn't identify with Umansky. I was embarrassed by the name. I thought it was a weak name. Which is really funny how the mind messes with you. I have my son named Zach and Jake. They both played football. Both were 1-syllable names. Because we were I was worried, not my wife. My wife was more secure about herself back then. But I would say to you, like, just that combination, I hated my name, and somewhere along the lines I fell in love with my name. But before then, the creation of the nickname was really related to the fact that I hated my last name. You can't say Umansky, you can say Umansky, or which is probably the real way you pronounce it, or Umansky. So I was just like, I'll just take over the moniker Lawman. That was it. It was really simple, and everyone remembered the Lawman. And then for about 10 years, I was embarrassed about the nickname Lawman. And now, over the last 15 years, I'm like, everyone knows the Lawman. I'm like, okay, that's good. So it worked. So.
See, I love that nickname. To me, it's so powerful, and people recognize you based upon that.
Like, it's memorable.
Yes. 100%.
But you have an all-female podcast. You know what's interesting is, that's the other thing that I started learning is to reclaim being a man. Because I will tell you, like, there came a time where they have, like, female, this, Central Florida Trial Lawyers, not Central Florida Trial, Central Florida Women Lawyers Association. There's all these women groups. And, it's not cool for men to have a group. Or it's just known like, oh, they have groups. Like, I'm not sure. They don't have men. They may have Christian male lawyers, maybe. But, like, I don't know if they have, like, the male lawyer group or whatever. You just don't. I don't know if we need it, don't need it. But I was embarrassed. And also the Lawman became something like, it's almost a sexist thing, but to claim being a male or being in that. And there are people who react to that in a way in the past. And I'd say during the time, maybe about 6-7 years ago, there was like a lot of upheaval about gender identity and everything. And now, like, reached full circle where I may start a podcast, a mastermind, and I'm playing around with the idea that's going to be men's only. So it's going to be the Lawman's men only mastermind, maybe. Mom for short, which is kind of interesting. And I actually just claim it and be like, yeah, it's all men. And I don't know, like, that's really the next step of being fully authentic is like, okay, I love women. I come to women groups. All the women, I have a lot of women leaders in my organization. My wife's she's an attorney and a very powerful personality, strong personality. But I'm like, I may just do a mastermind just for men. I
think you should. I don't think that there are enough men's groups out there. You'll have men's small groups at church. I'm sure that they have a few here and there, but you're absolutely right. There are so many different options for women, but not enough for men. So I think you should.
I'm gonna take that into advisement.
I agree with you because too there's undeniably value in woman-to-woman relationships,
yes.
And I imagine in man-to-man relationships as well. Mm-hmm. There's just things that you can talk about that everyone can relate to and help each other in a way that they wouldn't be comfortable to do in a mixed environment. So I would encourage you to do that, and I think that it's great that you are stepping out and not, bowing down to whatever society says is whatever. So
because you know what the concern was, especially several years ago, but even now, like you're excluding women. So therefore there's something wrong with you. You're a misogynist. I'm like, no, I just want to create a group of men who are like-minded like me and help them with their business. And we'll do different trips than we would do if it was a group trip, which is going to happen that way. It's going to be different fun, different communication, and different things that men talk about, right?
There's definitely nothing wrong with that at all. So I agree with Rachel. I think that's a great idea.
Well, thanks for the encouragement.
We support you.
I don't need encouragement of men. I do need encouragement from feminine energy, so that's cool.
100%.
I'm doing it.
So you have had a long legal career, and has that journey always been sunshine and roses?
No, I mean, obviously, there's been a lot. I think, it's interesting. I wrote a talk several times about resilience, and as you know, a business owner, you could lose key employees. And I love when business owners will talk about how great everything's going on, and they have like one or two key employees, and it's really the entrepreneur is out there being optimistic and sharing the love and everything, but they're the two key employees or three key employees or five key employees or eight key employees, no matter how big your business is. And then they lose a key employee or a second key employee. And then all hell hits, like it's just all kinds of things. So I feel like, there's been different processes. I think the toughest time that we went through was COVID. I feel like from COVID changed my dynamic of having integrity and also knowing what I would do. I've saved two people's lives before, and I always remember like I'm a mess until it came down to do something and then taking action. During COVID, we had the choice of letting our people go or reducing the attorneys' salaries all down to about like $40,000-$50,000. And I had to reduce my own. And I also had to tell them at the same time, like, I'm not going to take draws. And you can see my books, I won't take a draw out. And I remember when we kept everyone on, we had to grade every employee. And you talk about like the worst kind of your business is sitting there and grading people, because you had to like, look, you're already in a tough situation. Sometimes team members have to go anyway. They may be great people, but they don't live up to the standards that you need in your business. And I'm constantly reminded of that, and I'm even going to be more focused on that. But I remember having to grade these people, and there was a grade about what they did in business, but it was also what kind of people they were. And so there was one lawyer who used to hand out crosses, which, like, I think I wasn't Christian then. I think I was Jewish. Not in mind, but like he was trying to give people hope when people were really scared. And then we had some other people that were scared of what was going to happen, and they just marshaled through it. And then we had other people that were scared. I always remember, and I don't think any of them are with me anymore. They were not let go during that time during COVID, but I knew during a long period of time, like, they were not going to be the people I'd want on a sinking boat or anything like that. And I remember they were scared, and then they closed in. And then they, like, they're only thinking about their family, their people. I don't remember even who they were, because I don't like to be negative, but I remember that was the worst time of our business and the best time, because after I realized that I did that, it's only by doing the behavior that you are not sure you'll do until the time comes you do it, right? Does that make sense? We all can say we're going to do something. And I realized, like, we were struggling financially also, my wife and I, and we were like, no, this is what we need to do to keep our paralegals on, our legal assistants on, our managers on. We have to take the cut. And I remember after, that was the best part. I think the only other really, really bad time of business is like, yeah, you lose key employees, salespeople, you get stressed. But I also think too, like, over time, like, we have a leadership meeting like maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was pretty, I have two people with me here that are on my leadership team, so I don't want to go into certain details, but it was pretty emotional. We were grading each other, and it was pretty tough. And you get to a point where it's not whether it's good or bad. You're just kind of like, I love everyone as people. I want to work with people I care about. But if you need to go, or then go. Like, and you just make it happen. We lost 3 paralegals last quarter, and it's never happened to us. And I think us being resilient, we're able to just move on and just quickly rebound. So
Sure.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think it just, as you're talking, it's calling to mind all these experiences that I've been through that I can relate to, because there are things that happen outside of your control. I don't think when I started my business, I realized that the Florida legislature could just change the laws and tank my business in one foul swoop. Like, I just always had the perspective that if I just worked hard, if I just kept being good, doing a good job for people, if I just kept giving in the ways that you're saying, if I just kept doing those things, that I would just keep growing. But as you pointed out, when COVID hit, that was outside of your control. There was nothing you could do. Your business would otherwise be thriving, but you had to adjust. And I love the lessons that you learned through that have now made you stronger and your team stronger.
Yeah, but you just said something that's really true too. I think it's really important is that you can do all the right things and bad things will happen.
Yeah.
And so I had a lawyer that worked for me a long time ago, and his name is Chris Cagle, and I'm still very, very close with him because I'm working on a new speech actually. It's called Build a Bridge, Don't Burn a Bridge, which relates to your employees. Like they think from their end, I don't want to burn it, so I won't really tell them the truth on an exit interview. But actually, if you do the right things in the beginning and they leave, you can build a bridge to them. And you shouldn't do it with people you don't authentically like. But if someone you get rid of or terminate, I use the word get rid of because that's it. So it's like you have to terminate them, or they may quit. And remember, they're not living, they're not living their dream, they're living your dream. But at the end of the day, they move on and you want to build a bridge to them. So I think it's just really, really important that, I lost my train of thought, which is what happens when you're like 58. I'm going to look at the camera, accept full responsibility for that.
You're talking about you can do all the right things. And
Yeah, so business can just walk away from you. And I had this guy, Chris, who told me one day, he's like, stop living your life in fear. Like, think about, let's just take you through, and he's not even a coach, which is so funny because I mentor him a lot, but he said, just take away, this person leaves, you start losing all your business. Brooke takes all your personal injury business. People can't afford clients. Just take yourself down to like, what's the worst thing? You're by yourself. And I said, I looked at him, I'm like, I'll be fine. He's like, yeah. And all that goodwill you have, all that influence, who won't hire you? I'm like, yeah. So it's your ego that's telling you don't want to work for someone. Well, no, I don't want to work for someone. But yeah, but if you had to, would you? And if you had to, you could still get, I said, how many cases did you get a month when you first started before advertising? I said, 20, 25. He goes, you could turn off your website tomorrow and you'd still get 50, 60 cases a month. And you may have to go to court. You may have to start practicing law again. So I thought about that. And I was like, we are so blessed, many of us, that really we should count our blessings because we built up a career. And the longer you build up your career, that even if that eventually happens, then you just pivot. And ultimately, you may have to give up some materialistic things. And the people that are out there that are your friends because you have money, who cares about them anyway, really? I don't have friends like that, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, that's how I that conversation made me stop living in fear of anything.
The thing you just said that also resonated with me is that I think a lot of people who haven't achieved their financial goals think that if I can reach a certain financial place, that all will be well. But what I just heard from you was that you were bringing in massive amounts of wealth, but you still had major stress and major fear. And it's just, you now have more responsibilities. You now have more people depending on you.
More money, more problems.
Yes. And I think that that's a good lesson for people to hear, that just because you are financially growing doesn't necessarily mean that life is any easier.
Well, I'd go a step further. I'd actually say I'm not financially secure because it's all relative.
Yeah.
So I would say to you, like my son, for example, in 2 years, if he closes one deal, will have made more money than I made in 25 years. And he'll be done. Yep. Percentage deal. He just needs to close it.
What does he do? I need to check that.
No, he used to work for Goldman Sachs and now he's at a power company. But the point is that he's in that kind of business. And I feel like when you operate out of fear, you tend to waste money or spend money whatever. And I didn't do the right things. So I have 401k in retirement, but not enough really to live the lifestyle that I want to live now. I'm just not attached to that. So of course my spouse, and it's okay that she is more attached to it, but like I know I'm free from that. So for me, of course I love my wife. So really I think the stress would be more about taking care of her. I know that I don't have to have those cars that I have. Actually, I don't care. But I do like traveling, but I also know I could travel. I love good food, but I also know you don't need to go to a Michelin star restaurant. You can go to different places and I can live in another country. And I always like fashion, but I also know how to buy things cheap. So like I'm not attached and I don't feel financially secure. I just don't feel, and that's what sometimes people say to you, like, oh, you're acting the way you're acting now because you have enough money. and therefore you can do what you want. And I'm like, no, it's the opposite. My mind is free. So my mind is not attached to the money. It's not attached to my reputation. And I know reputation is very important as a lawyer. It's not attached to any of that. Those are all attachments that I don't really care about. I mean, more importantly is about the people that I love, and do I have their respect, and am I able to provide for people? That's really more important than the attachments that we have to anything. So no, I actually feel not financially secure because I look at my other friends who did do the right things. You know, they say like save $1, put 10% away your money. I never did any of that. Yeah. I'm doing it now, and I'm trying to amass a lot as much as I can now, but not enough.
Well, I think you brought up some excellent points about being able to have faith over fear and to be willing to pivot. A lot of people are scared to even pivot, so then they just give up on their dreams or they quit fighting for what they believe in. So I love that you brought that up.
But when they quit fighting, then the light goes out of their eyes. You know, the first time I walked in and saw you, you have your eyes, you have a lot of lightness in your eyes, a lot of light in your eyes. And I think, you know, you can tell. I wrote a poem to my sons, is that no matter where you are in life, just look at people as they get older and the light starts dimming. It's so easy for young people to be I just laugh at young people. I love young people, but really it's easy for them. They haven't been hurt enough. There are people that have been hurt when they're younger, either sexually abused or physically abused. And those people, when you see the light in their eyes, you know how resilient they are. But there are a lot of kids that, you know, they haven't had it. So they're all about like Pollyannish stuff. And it's the people that are older. When you see the older people with lights in their eyes and the brightness in their eyes, those are the people you need to go to.
So no light in my eyes.
You have light in your eyes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was feeling left out over here.
We are on an all-female podcast, and I knew as soon as I said it that you would say that.
Me?
Brooke, you have
So
beautiful eyes, and you have lots of light in your eyes.
It might be like my daughters.
do it.
What about me? Well, you're obviously a very open and candid person, and you have been open about the struggles you've had in life even. Your website even references that you grew up in a broken home, you experimented with drugs and alcohol, and were thrown out of 3 schools. And I personally think that being open and honest about your life experiences endears you to people and increases their trust. But has it been a good business decision for you to be so honest, or are there people who have opted not to work with you because of it?
Yeah, sure. I think that's the biggest concern that even I still have now. It's like, oh, we want to have fun on my Instagram. Instagram doesn't make me money. TikTok doesn't make me money. Facebook would make me money if I just stayed authentic, and meaning by just paying attention to what people are saying and then being there for them during events. The power of social media is really important, right? Like, there's different ways to get business. You can social media advertising. It frankly doesn't work for me, and maybe because of my age, maybe because of the color of my skin, maybe because of everything. Like, I'm not the paradigm. There are people that are in my space that are older white men that can, using advertisement and everything, but we're in a different world. That's a younger person medium. But Facebook provides events. People die, people get promoted, and it allows you the stuff to do that. And why I'm saying that is that I toy around with it. I think sometimes it's cost me business, because sometimes if you have a big wrongful death case and they're looking online and I'm doing something stupid like being choked out by another lawyer in the middle of a restaurant or dancing on a bar, like, oh, that's not my lawyer. And I think that is a concern. And I do know, like LinkedIn, I have very good friends that are white collar lawyers. We do white collar work. I've got a great lawyer in my office, Bryce, that does white collar work. They're not hiring me, they're hiring them. It can be that way. So far, I'm not going to change. I do struggle with it, though. I struggle. We lost a case the other day. I'm like, they must have looked at my Instagram or something. And it was a big case. It was a very, very serious case. But I just can't do it. Like, if I do it, I mean, I honestly, and I'm about to save, I have not used the F word.
This long?
This long. And we're like, I mean, there are plenty of women that use the F word, but I'm trying to be
You're
good.
doing great.
I know, but I want to so bad. I just am like, it's not worth it losing the money. I don't care. Like, I just want to be authentic. So, but it is a concern. Your reputation as a lawyer is important, and people want serious people for serious things.
And I don't think it's it's fair for you to assume that they chose a different firm because of your Instagram, because I know from my own personal experience that people in their circle of friends and family are constantly in their ear about you should go to this lawyer or this lawyer or this lawyer. And so my guess is that someone who's in their sphere of influence told them you need to be with this other firm, and it doesn't have anything to do with your social media presence.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, we don't always know in every case, but that has borne out to be true when we have found that out. So you're right. Like, it's not that always. So, and that's why, but I'm being honest, like, it's still, I'm very secure about who I am, but I still am playing around with that idea because it's not just about me, right? It's like you're a firm. Like, you got to pay for the people that work with you, and you feel like responsible if you lost a case because you could have helped out your entire firm. And it's just the nature of that. But you're right, and that's a great thing to hear from you because I actually have fun, so I don't want to stop having fun, and this is about having fun. So
Sure.
Anytime we put ourselves out there, we become vulnerable, right? But studies show when you're authentic that people genuinely gravitate towards you as a result of that, because people, especially those that are considering doing business with you, they want to do business with those that they know, like, and trust. And I would think, especially when it comes to hiring an attorney, I want to do business with someone who is going to be real with me.
yeah.
So being able to see someone being real on their online presence, at least for me personally speaking, that is someone that I would identify with.
I do believe that to be the case, but I also believe you got to meet clients where they're at. So if someone has lost their child, they're not in the mindset to see a guy chasing an ambulance down the street.
Right.
They're not. They could be in their normal reference, like if they're in your normal circle of friends, and in that situation. But when they've had something really tragic happen, I think. So I do think like you have to meet them where they're at. I just can't be meeting everyone where they're at to an extent where, like, you know, I'm not happy. So like, for example, I met some guy, I drove a huge check to a guy and his wife out in Colorado, and they're big Christian people, and I thought I was just going to be there and smoke a cigar. He had a cigar room, and he was wonderful. We spent like 2-3 hours, went through 2 cigars. I don't even smoke as many cigars, but we had a great conversation. But I remember too, like, he's like, well, you know, I want you to join this group called Holy Smokes, and maybe I'll try it out. And then I heard from a buddy, Bill, you're not going to like that group. I know you're trying to get into Bible study stuff, but
They're not going to like the F word.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I did send my preacher. I did put a story up before I came in here. There's this movie. I like really nasty music, but I do like Christian music. And I was listening to the song Amen, and I put up a story saying, if you believe, crank that shit up. And I did send it to the pastor of my church. And I said, ha, 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 ha. I know Jesus doesn't care that I'm cursing. It's more important I send the message out. So I'm challenging him. He hasn't Instagrammed me back yet. Hopefully he won't throw me out of the church. But yeah.
Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Meet our expert team at Mbiz.
Whether you need help with business strategy, brand development, or digital marketing, we have a personalized one-on-one coaching program just for you.
And if you're looking for something more budget-friendly, our group coaching services offer incredible value and the chance to learn alongside like-minded entrepreneurs.
Transform your business today. Visit missbiz.com and start your journey to success.
But
That's funny.
But I don't think they may curse, but they may not be a lot of fun. So.
Well, I think that the fact that you drove from Florida to Colorado,
I flew
flew.
and then drove an hour and a half.
Okay.
Wherever I-
Either way,
That's doing a
you
lot.
went.
Yeah.
You went to Colorado to hand deliver a check to a client. I mean, I have never heard of a lawyer doing something like
I
that.
just wanted to meet them because the client had polio. I didn't handle the case, and I really didn't know much about the case till the end. And the guy, they were 70, and he had polio, and his car flipped. It was bad injuries. Him and his wife, there was They had some fractures to their vertebrae, thoracic stuff, it was bad. It was a turnover night. And I was so glad I did that because I realized like they have money. They built their successful life. And so people could look at them and go, whatever, but like, no, it wasn't like that. The guy had a high school degree and he built everything by himself and with his wife. And he told me that at the scene, that when it happened, and I believe this to be true because it made me want to be a better person too, he's like, the guy that hit me, that's the first thing I prayed for. And he's had a fractured vertebrae. And it wasn't BS coming from him. And I remember he had to use crutches, he's walking down, polio's a real thing. And so, imagine having polio and then having that happen and still and he had light in his eyes at 71 years old, and so did his wife. And so it was really cool, and I got to learn so much about them. But it was the story that I didn't hear all of that story, but I heard part of it, and it's like I got to go meet them, and that was why I did it. And there's people, I have friends that text me, go, "Did you take it out of their settlement?"
Your travel expense
For your mini-me vacation by yourself? I was like, no, I did not take my vacation. And that's the first thing I told them when I was out there. Is like, I flew out here on my own dime, my own hotel, my own food. I don't think, he goes, you didn't need to explain that to me. It's like, I just have a feeling I'm going to get a text when I put up a social post. He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was, I imagine, a very rewarding day in the life of a lawyer. But in general, lawyers are not always very happy in their profession. In fact, I think they're in the top 10 professions for depression and even suicide. So if you had the opportunity to do it all over again, would you still become a lawyer, or would you do things differently in it?
Yeah, it's funny. I always wanted to be a lawyer since kindergarten, but looking back now, I realized like I really liked my time as a trial lawyer. As a trial lawyer, I liked it. And I also feel like I left it too early because I was battling my ego back then. And I was really good. I even had emotional intelligence back then. So I felt like I could have learned so much more and really even done better. But I had a hard time in my marriage and with my friends and with my clients because, it's like, I don't know, biblically the devil, but before that I didn't think about the devil. I thought like, it's just like, it's who I am. And there is that temptation now, like, so you female listeners, I don't care. I'm on testosterone again. So it's like actually bringing me back to when I was younger. And I remember like that drive, that focus, and all of that stuff. So I would tell you as a trial lawyer, absolutely, I loved it. And I may have even given it up a little too early because my way of dealing with the ability, I couldn't deal with my ego. It's just very, very difficult. Because it's almost like there's certain things, I would actually equate being a trial lawyer to like cocaine. Like trial work makes you feel, it's like a drug. For me it was. And so when I was younger, it was like, that filled me up. And it filled out the worst part about me. So yeah, I liked helping people, but I liked winning more. I liked helping people for sure and getting justice for them for sure. But it then just resonated with the worst parts about who I was because it's kind of like, and I could never really, I tried, I went through therapy and coaching to I don't know the word is balance, but kind of like lock them in together. So to answer your question, probably not. And what I would do again, not because I was miserable as a lawyer, and I think there's other businesses that are easier to deal with. You don't have the Florida bar, you don't have a trust accounting, you don't have like what you can say, what you can't say. You don't have like lawyers that can sue the bar so they get away with stuff that you can't get away with. And it's just like we have to hold so much on our shoulders as professionals. There's just other businesses that I think that would help people that I probably would have enjoyed and probably made a lot more money, a lot quicker money, faster money, still help people. But I don't regret it. I feel like it's great, and you have the business you're in. And so I like the business I'm in. I'm going to start coaching other lawyers again. And when I do, it's going to be more about mindset than everything. So obviously I still attach to the law. but I would not probably do it again. I'd probably do what my kids are doing. My kids, I always joke around, I don't think they have a servant's heart. I've tried teaching them, but they're all about like Wall Street. They're all about the bottom line and stuff, but I think there's a middle ground where you can, do both. So,
Well, they're still young, so
yeah, they may mature out. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're immature. They're in the middle they're in their early 20s trying to,
I think it's harder for kids. So, for example, I was raised very different than my children are raised in terms of what I can offer my children versus what my parents could offer me. And I was so focused on, I want to be able to give my children more opportunities in life and be able to do more things that my parents just couldn't afford to do. But now that I've been able to do that, I don't think that they really appreciate it in the same way that I would have appreciated it because I didn't have it. And so just like your kids being, I'm sure were raised with having just about anything at their disposal. And while we want to give them everything, we don't realize, because we were raised differently, what the end result is of giving them everything. Not saying that your kids are like my kids who don't appreciate everything, but it just, we don't know. We think we're doing the right thing. At least I'm just talking for myself and giving them things. And then you later are like, wow, they're really talking back a lot and disrespectful and not appreciating the things that they have. And then you start to think, did I do things wrong?
So it's interesting. Our kids did have everything they wanted, but for boys, what do you think boys want when they're in high school more than anything?
Cars.
And what kind of cars do they want?
Sports cars.
Right. So I think that was one of the first things that I did. And my wife came from a relatively wealthy family. Her father bought her cars, and she worked. She was always a hard worker, and she calls herself the Tiger Mom. So the reason why they did well in school was because of her. She's relentless. Like it was, that was good for them. But the thing that I think that changed for my sons is that they did have vacations. And actually, off air, I'll tell you what my sons and I would do after my wife would go to sleep at 10 o'clock, which was a learning experience going to Europe and having them grow up and be mature even at an early age. But the one thing that we did do that was important was that I gave them a $7,000 to $10,000 budget for a car. And that was years ago. That's like, and still the value of the cars. And I remember that my son, and I can't go on air and tell you what I told my son, but I told him something: if you can't, whatever, in this kind of car, it ain't happening for you. And so he got a Kia with no air, and they had Kias with air, they had Kia with electricity. This was only like 9 years ago, we had no, and it was like $8,000. And I actually wanted him to pay me back, I forgot. And then my other son, he got a sports car, but it wasn't really a sports car. It was a 4-cylinder Mitsubishi Eclipse that looked like one. And it was the same price. And he said, well, inflation. I go, no, same deal. And I told both of them, and it was their friends all had, a lot of them had BMWs, and they had nice cars and all that. And I said, no. I said, that's the one thing I have to deny you. Like, you can't have that. You just can't. You guys have everything you want. You can travel wherever you want, whatever. And I think that, and I was also very insistent, like when they drove my car, my son may have lied to me and wrecked it. Another one was, they never, even now at 25 and 22, they come to my house, they cannot drive my car. They could drive their mother's car. And they know, they're like, you lied to me about the car. Dad, that was 8 years ago. I said, I don't give a, you know what? Like, you're not. I love you, but you're not driving my car. I'm not. So I feel like that is the one thing. And they all worked through school, high school. And then when they got to college, they worked full time when they were in school too.
That's great.
So I feel like when we come from a generation that doesn't want to give, you may have been a better mom in the sense that you wanted to do that. And sure, my wife wanted to do that, but she came from stuff. So really, for me, I was selfish. Maybe I didn't want to spend $30,000, $40,000. So I rationalized in my mind that I was teaching them a lesson. Well, whatever reason, maybe they know that. I don't know. But whatever the lesson was better, because they also knew that when they got to school, they had to work without us asking. And that just made them harder. And so they're just, so I'm very proud of that, but I also know like I didn't come from much. And when I did that, but I may be more selfish than you, because I was just kind of like, you need to earn that. I don't need to give you a BMW. That's my money that I worked for in my family. And like, you'll get there when you're at age. This is the car you get.
Yeah.
And deal with it. And
I agree with you on the car, because they're just going to wreck it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's for sure. But I think that that's great that you instilled that work ethic in them so that they had something that they had to work for that they really wanted.
I've been making my kids work since they were 5 years old.
Yeah,
Seriously, at events and everything else, just because of that reason.
Well, yeah, our kids, they have problems with their coaches occasionally, and then sometimes people want to switch coaches. Like, I even agree with my kids. My kids are smart. They're like, that guy's not a good lacrosse coach. I'm like, you're not switching. They'll switch at the end of the year. You're just not switching. Well, he sucks. I'm like, oops, I cursed. He goes, yeah, you're not switching. And then they also would go work for people. I have an employee of mine now who's a salesman for me, who was my son's first employer. And his mother, this guy who works for me, his mother used to yell at my son and make him clean the bathroom like really bad. And he would come home and like, so we're not calling him, fix it yourself. And with teachers, fix it yourself. We'll give you, this is what you should say to them. Work it out with your teacher. Don't make your mother and I get involved in your mess. Mm-hmm. And so they learned how to deal with their teachers, learned how to deal with their bosses. And, sometimes we had to step in, obviously, but for the most part, it's like, handle it yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Yeah.
Fight their fight.
Yeah.
So we have one last question, and then we have a surprise for you. What is one piece of advice that you would give to businesses who may not be as far along as you are in their entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, there's a David Coggins. I learned this. I love that question, because sometimes people get intimidated when they're around people that have made a lot of money and made it, and they're like, how can I do that? I can't do it. And the funny thing is, you can do better, do more. And so I think the one bit of advice I'd have is the SEALs. I love the Navy SEALs, and I don't know what and again,
We love him too.
SEALs. I wonder why.
Don't worry, we love the SEALs.
No, but SEALs, when they complete their mission, it's take the first step, then take the next step. Don't look at the outcome of your mission. Just take the step. And so you get boiled down, and also I'd say to you, from my years of strategic coach, is don't look forward, look back. And what that means is look back at where you've come from. Don't look where you need to go. Because if you look to where you need to go, sometimes there are days that it's just so overwhelming, like I can't get there. Mm-hmm. Like I can't get to 10 figures or 8 figures or 9 figures, or I can't get here, or I can't. It's just so overwhelming. But if you look back and you see where you grew from, so it's not that you're looking back to build your foundation for the future. So it's kind of interesting. It's like, look back, not forward, but take a step forward, one step at a time. And as you're taking that step, don't think about the mission. Just think the mission goal. Think about the step you got to take and what you're trying to accomplish there. And then as you look back, you've taken 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, and then you think, man, I've taken 3 steps already. That gives you the power to take that 4th step, 5th step, 6th step. Mm-hmm. So that would be I'm looking at the camera, the one bit of advice I have. I'm looking at the camera like I was making fun of my co-host the other day for shaving his beard, and I'm like, I just did that yesterday, and I wish I had it on. It would have been so much cooler if I had just said it with my beard and mustache. Sorry.
Well,
is that going to get edited out?
Nope.
Our editing is minimal.
Okay.
All right. Well, now to the fun part. We have a surprise for you. Give us 1 minute to set it up. Okay. The Lawman jingle.
Oh, that's cool.
Presenting.
He's a lawman.
What you know about that?
He's a lawman.
No cap on the mic.
He's a lawman.
What you know about that?
He's a lawman.
About to drop some advice.
Been practicing law for a long time.
High profile. If you want to meet him, there's a long
Does he
line.
know Shaq?
Probably got him on speed
How
dial.
about J-Lo?
Probably got her on speed
How
dial.
about the Pope?
Speed dial.
Does he know?
Stop, because this could take a while.
Great.
He grew up in a broken home, felt the pain people feel through no fault of their own. Fell into a hole full of drinking and drugs when all he ever needed was a father and hugs.
Mentor showed up, helped him put it all down, taught him he had control and he could turn it around. Found faith
Hallelujah.
and a second chance. He knew that he was teaching and decided to advance.
USF for psychology, and then UF for his law degree. Stitched hundreds of cases like a sewing machine. Now he gives his talents back to the community.
He's a lawman.
What you know about that?
He's a lawman.
No cap on the mic.
He's a lawman.
What you know about that?
He's a lawman.
About to drop some advice.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome.
Thank you.
I'm stealing that. I'm getting that and using that. That's
Yes, it's
awesome.
yours.
Thank
Please
you.
do.
We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Mbiz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Mbiz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.